Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, a.k.a. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, this was published in 1997 in England under the title Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but when it was published here in the States in 1998, for some reason they retitled it Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, I'm not 100% sure why they did that. I think it has something to do with, like, the publishers apparently thought that children in America wouldn't read a book that has the word philosopher in it, which I think is just stupid. Like, I think it's stupid that they changed the title like that, even though, to be fair, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is the title that I know the book by. Now, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, whichever title you prefer, is a children's fantasy novel by J.K. Rowling, and this is the first book of her Harry Potter series. Now, the Harry Potter series really has become kind of a cultural phenomenon now, and of course this book series was also made into a successful film franchise as well, and the character of Harry Potter has become such an iconic character that pretty much everybody knows who Harry Potter is. Even if you've never read one of the books or have seen one of the movies, you know the name Harry Potter. It's like one of those names that has kind of been indented into our pop culture now. Now, I'll admit, this is the only book in the Harry Potter series I have read so far. I mainly know about Harry Potter through the movies, and I have seen the movies, and I enjoy those quite a bit, but this is the first book in the series I've read so far. But a lot of my friends and family are like big Harry Potter fans. Like my friend Mark, who I do the Friday Sagas videos with, he is a huge Harry Potter fan, and he actually gave me this copy of the book and told me to read it, and I have to say that I really did enjoy this book. For a children's novel, I thought this was a really good book. Now, the plot of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is it's about this young boy named Harry Potter who in the beginning of the book is living with his aunt and uncle, and his aunt and uncle, they really hate him, and they treat him like complete garbage, and it turns out that strange stuff does happen around Harry a lot, but what ends up happening is Harry starts getting these letters, and his uncle just keeps taking them away from him, but the letters keep on coming. Eventually, they're visited by a man named Hagrid, who tells Harry that he's actually a wizard, and that his father was a wizard and his mother was a witch, and he's been accepted to this school called Hogwarts, which is a school for young witches and wizards to develop their skills. So essentially, the book is set over the course of Harry Potter's first year at Hogwarts, and it's about the adventures and experiences that Harry has during his first year at this school. Now, in the book, Harry Potter finds out that he's actually famous in the world of witches and wizards because it turns out that years before the events of this book, there was an evil wizard named Voldemort who actually killed his parents, and Voldemort tried to kill him when he was a baby, but somehow when Voldemort tried to kill him, Voldemort was destroyed and Harry Potter lived, and so now everybody calls Harry Potter the boy who lived, and he's pretty much famous in the world of witches and wizards. Like, when he first gets to Hogwarts, pretty much everybody knows who he is already. So, the overall plotline of the book is, at a certain point in the story, Harry Potter and his friends Ron and Hermione find out about this thing called the Sorcerer's Stone, Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on which version of the book you read, and it turns out that this stone actually has the power to grant someone eternal life, and Harry starts to fear that somebody is trying to steal it, and as the story goes on, Harry starts to fear that this evil wizard Voldemort, who many people think is dead, and is the wizard who killed Harry Potter's parents, he fears that Voldemort might be back. And that's the basic plot line of the book. There's a lot more to it than just that, but that's just a very basic outline of the plot. Now, as I said, I really enjoyed Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I thought this was a really, really good book. For a children's novel, it is really good, and it's a very well-written book. And there are some moments in this book that are actually really touching and really moving. Like, there's a scene in this book where Harry finds this mirror, and if you look into the mirror, you will see what your heart desires most, and Harry Potter, he looks into the mirror and sees his family, the family that Voldemort killed, and it's a really touching moment in the story. Another thing I liked about the book as well is it's actually very much a mystery novel, because throughout most of the book, you know somebody's trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone, but you really don't know who it is. Like, there's somebody who you think is the one who's actually trying to steal it, but it's not who you think it is by the end, so it really is very much a mystery novel, and you have Harry Potter and his friends Ron and Hermione actually trying to do detective work to try to figure out what's actually going on, so it is very much a mystery novel. And it's also a really funny book too, like there's actually quite a bit of humor in this book. Now, this is very much a children's novel, but I have been told that as the series go on, they actually get a lot more mature, and they actually get a lot darker, which kinda makes sense because the characters in the series get older, so it makes sense that the books would mature along with the characters, and the movies were very much like that, though. Like, the first two Harry Potter movies were very much kids' movies, but by, like, the third or fourth film, they got a lot darker and started to touch on much more mature themes. Now, even though it is a children's novel, there is some dark stuff in this book. Like, the character Voldemort, he is a dark character because the way he's described in this book, he was basically a wizard serial killer, and also it describes how he had a lot of followers. He was pretty much the Charles Manson of wizards, pretty much. Now, of course, the first Harry Potter movie was based on this book, and I haven't seen the first Harry Potter movie in a dog's age, but from what I remember of that movie, I remember that movie followed this book pretty well, and when I was reading this book, I actually started to remember scenes from that movie that I forgot. So, like, when I'm reading them in the book, I'm like, oh, I remember that scene from the movie, and it was kind of like watching the movie again, even though I'm not watching the movie, I'm reading the book. Now, one thing I want to point out is, years before this book was written, there was a horror film called Troll, which was about a little girl that got possessed by an evil troll, and her brother had to save her, and the reason I'm bringing that movie up is because the main character of that movie, I shit you not, was named Harry Potter. Now, I don't know if J.K. Rowling got the name Harry Potter from that movie, but if she didn't, it's definitely a hell of a coincidence. Now, in the early 90s, Neil Gaiman wrote a graphic novel called The Books of Magic, which actually had a very similar premise to this book, and it was written before this book, but The Books of Magic was about a young boy who was told by these four magicians that he was destined to become the world's greatest magician. So, this book, it seems to have some similarities to that book, but personally I don't think J.K. Rowling took any inspiration from that book. It's probably just a coincidence that this book and that book have very similar plot lines. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if she did took inspiration from that book. But yeah, that's my review on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And once again, so far this is the only book in the series I have read, but I do definitely want to check out the other books in the series. Unfortunately, it might be a while till I do that, because I have so many other books on my reading list right now that I don't know when I'll get to read in the other books, but hopefully sometime in the not-too-distant future I will check out the other Harry Potter novels.